On to our continuing focus right here on WION. 17 days after they went missing, 12 boys from a Thailand soccer team and their coach have been rescued from the Tham Luang cave in northern Thailand. The Thai Navy SEALs said, and I'm quoting, "We are not sure if this is a miracle, science or what. All the 13 wild boars are now out." That's a statement that came in from the Thai Navy SEALs, who have been a core part of this entire mission that began on Sunday, remember, when the first batch of 4 boys were rescued, brought out successfully. Post that, the operation was halted for a period of 10 hours. It was resumed on Monday. That's when another set of 4 boys were rescued. And today being the last leg of the operation, just a short while ago, a confirmation coming in of all the 12 trapped boys and their coach being rescued successfully. This is a miraculous rescue operation that's ended on a happy note. In fact, officials have said the 8 boys who were brought out on Sunday and Monday are in good health overall. That's been another positive development. The boys aged between 11 and 16 and their 25-year-old coach ventured into that Tham Luang cave in mountainous northern Thailand on June 23rd. It was just another day for them when, after their football practice and a match, they went to explore that cave. But unfortunately, given the heavy rainfall that was witnessed just a short while after that in that area, the entire cave was flooded, and which resulted in those boys and their coach getting trapped inside. And it took about 10 days for them to be found. At first, there was a huge concern over where and in which part of the caves the boys really were. It took about 10 days for the first team of divers of British nationality to locate these boys and their coach inside the cave. So it was a depth of about 4 kilometers that was covered by these teams to help locate the boys and their coach. They were found on a muddy patch about 4 kilometers into that treacherous cave complex. And post thereon, several options were weighed in. Deliberations were being held on whether or not the boys should be pulled out, or whether they whether there should be a digging that should be carried out, or whether the flood water that is inside the cave should be pumped out. But ultimately they were pulled out, and these are scenes of jubilation and celebration that are coming in from the rescue team members, who are seen celebrating and cheering on upon the successful completion of that mission. This entire ordeal began on June 23rd. It's almost a 17-day-long ordeal that's come to an end today, just a short while back, when, thanks to the concerted efforts of teams spanning from coming in from different parts of the world, joining hands, pitching in all their efforts, leaving no stone unturned to ensure that these 12 trapped boys and their coach are rescued successfully. They had kept their hopes alive, also ensured that the boys and their coach were administered all the help and assistance required. Some of the boys did not even know how to swim and dive till about 2 days ago. So it began from scratch in a way, this entire operation, with the rescue team members, who are also now seen celebrating post the successful completion of that operation. They're singing, dancing, cheering on as news came in of all the trapped boys and their coach are being pulled out successfully from that flooded cave. This is just a sample of the celebrations, of the excitement and enthusiasm that has been witnessed all across Thailand. This is, of course, a story that has captured the attention of not just Thailand, but the world over. There have been prayers that have been coming in from different parts of the world. They have been hoping waiting with bated breath for some positive development, some piece of information that gives them hope. But ultimately, this is a mission that first began when the boys were found. It took about 10 days for the rescue teams to reach 4 kilometers into the cave to find the boys and their coach. And thereon, the mission began on Sunday when the weather conditions were seen to be cooperating. So that's when the decision was taken by the Thai Navy SEALs, by the rescue teams overall, to begin the mission on Sunday, when the first batch of 4 boys were rescued. Then on Monday is when the next batch of 4 boys were brought out, and ultimately today being the last leg of that operation, which also ended successfully. And they're all out now. But imagine for a few minutes the plight of these boys who were stranded inside that pitch dark cave for over 2 weeks. They had no light, neither were they able to move inside that cramped space where they were trapped. And naturally, the families and the entire world community is concerned about their mental and physical health. But not only have these boys survived that terrible ordeal, doctors treating the 8 boys who were rescued over the last 2 days say there is no reason to worry about their health. More in this report.
Ambulances were lined up outside the Tham Luang cave as news of the boys being rescued came to the fore. 4 boys were extracted from the flooded cave on Monday in a long and arduous rescue operation. And the waiting ambulances rushed them to the hospital for a thorough examination. Much to the relief of everyone, these boys survived the last 2 weeks with minimum physical and mental stress. Thai authorities confirm that they are in good spirits and some of them have been asking for food. Surviving on bare minimum food for the last 2 weeks, the boys ask for basil stir-fried rice and chocolate bread for breakfast.
These kids are footballers and they are healthy and strong, which means they have high immune systems.
The boys who were brought out of the cave over the last 2 days have undergone x-rays and blood tests for further examination. All of them are suffering from low body temperatures and are being treated with body heating equipment. 2 of them are being treated for lung inflammation, but their good health gives hope to the parents and authorities of the other boys who are still trapped. Worried parents gathered at the hospital waiting to meet their children.
I think for now we will let them visit through glass. We'll let them use hospital phones to talk to each other.
For the last 2 weeks, families of these boys have held their breath and prayed for their safe return. The boys who were rescued on Monday were found to be meditating when the divers first discovered them. It turns out that their coach who led the doomed expedition was trained in meditation as a Buddhist monk, and that helped the boys keep their spirits high. Bureau Report, WION.
And the members of the entire world community have been surprised at how the trapped Thai boys and their coach survived that entire ordeal and kept their calm inside that flooded cave. Imagine living in isolation for as many as 10 days. Close to 16 days is the entire duration that the boys and their coach spent inside. But it took about 10 days for the first team of divers to locate the boys. So throughout that period of isolation, the boys and their coach seemed to rely on meditation. In fact, the British divers who first found the boys and their coach inside that cave reportedly found them meditating. The boys were seen greeting their rescuers in a video released by the Thai Navy SEALs. It turns out that their coach who led this doomed expedition was trained in meditation as a Buddhist monk. In fact, he spent a period of 10 years living in a monastery, and those meditation skills seem to have come handy when it comes to the boys who were trapped inside that cave as well. The coach, according to sources, taught the boys how to meditate inside that cave in order to keep them calm and help them preserve their energy throughout that 2-week-long ordeal. They spent the first 10 days of that ordeal without food, without drinking water, and without any help that was seen to come in their way. So it took, of course, the first 10 days were spent without those basic facilities. It was only 10 days later that the first team of divers actually located the boys and their coach. In fact, the deputy chief of the mission said, and I'm quoting, "The coach was a Buddhist monk. He used his knowledge of meditation to keep the boys calm. Thailand has learned Buddhist wisdom from India through Lord Buddha." That's the word coming in from the deputy chief of mission. Several reports have indicated that the boys and the coach relied on meditation throughout that ordeal. Let's also delve a little bit into how the rescue operation unfolded. It was a complicated, complex mission. The Tham Luang cave lies in Chiang Rai province in northern Thailand. The cave complex lies between the Doi Nang Non mountain range on the border between Thailand and Myanmar. It is almost 10 kilometers long and has many deep, narrow passageways and tunnels. The 12 boys and their coach were located all alive on the 2nd of July, 10 days after they first got trapped on June 23rd. This was when a diver was placing guidelines in the cave to later assist others in navigation. That's when these boys were found. They were found about more than 3 kilometers from the mouth of the cave. Efforts to locate them were then hampered by rising water levels given the torrential rainfall that the entire area has been witnessing. Heavy rains had flooded the low-lying areas in the cave with just a few patches of dry ground between the entrance of the cave and the place where the boys were trapped. Some of the narrowest passageways, in fact, are barely 15 inches in girth. On July 3rd, 7 divers, including a doctor and a nurse, joined the group inside the cave. The rescuers provided health checks and treatment and medical assistance to the boys. Luckily, none of the boys were in bad shape, and a week later, all of them are out. Just a short while ago, the confirmation coming in of all the 12 trapped boys and their coach miraculously being pulled out successfully after the completion of that operation. And the mission to extract the 12 kids, the 12 boys and their football coach from the cave in Thailand did claim 1 casualty though. While all the 13 members miraculously survived, a former Thai Navy driver, Samangunan, died on Friday last week. The rescuer was working as a volunteer and died during an overnight mission in which he was placing oxygen canisters throughout that route. Conan had started his dive shortly after 8:30 p.m. on July 5th, a journey that takes close to 6 hours from the mouth of the cave to the area where the team are trapped. He was knocked unconscious due to lack of oxygen. His diving buddy tried in vain to revive him in an underground cavern, but he was declared dead around 1 a.m. local time. The former Navy SEAL had posted a video on Facebook as he was on his way to the Tham Luang cave. All he wanted to do was bring the boys back home. In that video, he declared that he will bring the boys back home, but unfortunately died while he was taking part in that mission.
ของขึ้นเครื่องหมดแล้วครับเตรียมพร้อมที่จะบินไปเชียงรายแล้วครับน่าจะถึงประมาณสัก4 โมงกว่าๆนะครับถึงสนามบินเชียงรายนะครับทีมสนับสนุนทีมรถบกนะครับที่กำลังทำงานอยู่ในตอนนี้นะครับที่ถ้ำหลวงนะครับจังหวัดเชียงรายผมก็จากทีมงานสนามบินสุวรรณภูมินะครับบริษัทท่าอากาศยานไทยจำกัด
And the entire world is waiting with bated breath for any further update coming in from Thailand, especially on the health condition of the 12 boys and their coach who have been pulled out successfully from that cave. They were trapped inside that cave since June 23rd. For the first few days, it seemed like a story that was restricted to Thailand. But as days passed, it seemed more and more difficult to reach the boys. The story then became a global one. News reporters from across the world reached Thailand and reported on the story. WION Siddhant Sibul, in fact, spoke to one such journalist from Canada. This is what she had to say about her experience.
You know, we love stories that bring the world together. And this is certainly a story that has brought the world together in a way that I haven't seen before. And obviously we're all really inspired by the bravery of the boys and of the coach, and of the coming together of so many different countries to help them. This is what's interesting. It is a human story. There is no, you know, other countries are interested in it because they have divers from their countries. Canadians don't have any divers. We really care about it just because we care about the fact that there are 12 little boys stuck in a cave, and because so many people from around the world are trying to help. And in a way, I think that's more inspiring than if Canadians were interested just out of self-interest, just because they had a Canadian involved. So I think it's really beautiful.
And we earlier spoke with Anwar Mirza, who is the national coordinator of the United States National Cave Rescue Commission from the United States. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
A lot of places would have considered it national pride to not ask for help, but there's no nation that could have fielded the amount of expertise that was necessary to pull this off successfully. So for that standpoint there, just to be absolutely commended. Also to be commended is the Thai diver who gave his life so that these people could survive. So they obviously had several days of training and preparation, and while that training isn't what you would really want them to have to the level that they did it, you'd want to have weeks and even months of training. That helped. Also what helped is giving them the psychological boost of doing something to help themselves. They're not just being carried out, but they're actively participating in their own rescue, which is tremendously important. And during that time, they were also developing a rapport with the divers, and that was absolutely critical, because that trust that they built I think is probably the key to the success of this operation. All of those conditions helped them tremendously. The ability to help control your panic was what was absolutely necessary for them to get through those tight places. Cavers, people who go caving recreationally, are absolutely famous for taking care of our own. We are the people who know how to operate in the environments we go into. Most fire departments, most law enforcement, military do not train for these. So whenever there has been a cave rescue anywhere, the caving community, the people who go recreationally caving, will have always responded. And it's something that I'm very proud of this community for. Well, they're going to be getting a lot of attention right now. And these are people who may not have had any experience with being on the news or with having all the people around them just lavishing them with attention. And they will be being constantly bombarded with requests for interviews, for people asking them to explain their stories. And then on top of that, you have the potential for that post-traumatic stress disorder and any of the other complications that may go along with that psychologically. But the thing is that people are resilient. Human beings are resilient. You cannot predict in advance how any one individual is going to react. All I can say is I hope that people will let these children have a chance to recover, and that they do recover well. I know of no one in the caving community who would not risk their life to help another caver, and that's a very important thing, I think.